You are going at a speed over 300 kilometers per hour on the straight, and you have to make crucial decisions which can be end by a disaster or a victory. And suddenly the rear slips and you are airborne. Therefore, you can even break bones in your body. However, due to the amazing MotoGP gears, the riders can survive even fatal injuries. And in this video, we're gonna deep dive into the amazing technology of MotoGP gear. So stick around if you are into MotoGP technology and hit the like button and subscribe, because today we're gonna deep dive into the MotoGP gear. Let's ride together.
Hi guys, I am the one who has been saved many times by these amazing suits, helmets, boots and gloves, and today we're gonna take a deep dive into how each other work and how they work together to protect my body over and over, crashing after, and then still getting back up and getting back on the bike, which is just absolutely amazing. And back in the day, like 50-60 years ago, it wouldn't have been possible, it would be fatal. I think I would have been dying 30 times now, but due to these amazing protectors, we can survive and get back on the bike. So, let's go back and see. Back in the 50s and 60s, there's been no helmets, there's been no shoes, there's been no boots. It was a farmer getting on a bike or a cowboy and just riding the bike and racing each other. Whereas now, it's utterly amazing what these are capable of. So, let's get into it. Back in the day, I think many people would be happy to wear one of these bad boys. But back in the day, there was just hats and leather caps that they wore. Actually, Bell introduced the first helmet back in 1967, as I'm right. I hope so, I'm right. But now, as you see, it came a long way. So let's deep dive a bit into these helmets. As you can see, it's carbon fiber, so it's quite light. And we have to deep dive into the future aspects of different things. What is for what? Because in a racing helmet, everything has a purpose. There is no show. It's only usage. So first, we have quite a few vents around the helmet, which is really good in the hot days. Also in the cold days, it's really good to close it and my face gets still warm. And what I was always keen on not to use was this pin in the locking, this locking pin, which locks the visor into place, which is, I think, quite handy now that I crashed in Nürburgring and the visor just came up and I hit my face with the stones. But it's really hard to touch these with the gloves. So, and I never close it, but now I used to close it. And we use, of course, different type of visors. So for foggy and rainy weather, we use a clear visor, which I'm not really keen on, to be fair. And there are still guys, many madmen, that still use black visors in the night or in the rain, but they are quite crazy, to be fair. I obviously use normally a dark one because my eye is quite sensitive for the lighting, and I just prefer the black ones. And of course, here in the back we have the arrow, which is just helps to stabilize my head when I'm going over 300 kilometers per hour with this little bad girl over here. And yeah, it's a really handy helmet and really glorious one. I think I do really like this brand, and it's just amazing. And of course, for the safety itself, we have these emergency straps which you pull, and then this whole pad just comes out, and then if you have a big crash, they can remove the helmet without damaging your vertebrae, which is really handy. And for that the safety remains always the same and that the helmet is safe to ride. In the World Championship races, we have this QR code in the helmet, which they scan and they can track where that helmet has been crashed, where it's been raced, so they can check the whole life of the helmet and decide if it's good to ride or no. And sometimes it's a pain in the asshole, to be fair, because for a small scratch they say you can't ride a helmet, but ultimately it's for our safety. So you might be wondering how expensive this helmet is. Well, I'm really lucky to say that I'm sponsored, so I don't have to buy these things, but it's around 1,200 euros, so it's quite an expensive one, but I would say you have only one life, and I think protection is really, really important, so I would buy it as an amateur, because you never know what's going to happen, and you have to prepare for the worst. And of course, you might be asking, what's this? This is for the endurance. What we use is when we crash in the night and they can't find you in the gravel trap, they go with a flashlight and they try to find your helmet. So this is why we have these black and white boards that show the lights back, and then they can find you in the gravel trap. Back in the day, rider was just wearing cold white jackets like a Western movie set. No back protection, no armor, and certainly no airbag. Then came 1970s, Barry Sheen, the first one to wear a dinosaur back protector. The 80s and the 2000s, streetwear starting to get smarter. Today's MotoGP suits are Ironman armor disguised in leather, made out of kangaroo, which is lighter and stronger than cowhide, stitched with Kevlar and layered with CE Level 2 armor. Critical zones like shoulders, knees, elbows are reinforced with armor fiber topped with magnesium or TPU sliders. Airbags are crown jewels. Alpine's stack airbag and Dynasty's DR systems contain sensors in the suit, speed humps, 3 gyroscopes, 3 accelerometers, and a GPS that detects a crash before they can happen. A crash in suit inflates around the chest, shoulders, and collarbones in around 25 to 30 milliseconds. The cost? Over 2,000 euros and maximum around 5,000 euros for a suit. Of course, it depends which one you go for and if it's custom made, custom fitted or not. Mine is custom fitted, of course, but to be fair, I luckily don't know the price of it. So we're also going to talk about the airbag itself, which has been mandatory for quite a few years now, and it's really saved me also many times. My biggest impact was in Red Bull Ring when I got hit by another rider. After checkered flag was 28 Gs, and amazingly I could walk after that. And I'm really lucky to wearing really good protections, and I think Alpinestar is the best airbag on the market right now. This is the newest model which I use, and I want to show you what it looks like underneath the shell. So these are the patrons which have a compressed air, I think, which push air into the system so the airbag can inflate. And of course you have the back protector installed and also an S bone protector. I hope it says like this, so we can protect our little S's. And this is the control module, and then we just wear it under the suit, and it protects us really, really well. To be fair, I'm not so keen on wearing it. I like just a back protector sometimes because I don't like this feeling big under the suit, and it weighs quite a bit. But ultimately, when you're riding over 300 kilometers per hour, you need it. And to be fair, there is not much fatal crashes anymore where you crash alone and you eventually die or something. It's only the matter of riding together in a bunch where you crash and then someone hits you. And of course, airbag tries to protect you, but if a 200 kilogram bike hits you, the rider on, you don't have much chance. So ultimately, I think modern MotoGP or motor racing is really safe now in terms of if you crash alone, you have a really high chance of not getting injured. Of course, maybe a finger or a bone breaks, but really fatal accident or surgery, that's not super keen anymore.
And now let's talk about the footwear itself, the boots. As you can see it in here. Riders used to wear leather boots with no rear protection. Ankles were shattered regularly, but the 1990s brought hinge systems, and now we have a biomechanical marvels. MotoGP boots are dual layered, an inner booty with an ankle brace and an armored outer shell. Systems like Denise, D, Axel or Alpinestar's SuperTech are hinge naturally for gear control, but locks up to prevent overextension, flexions or rotations in a crash. If it happens, of course, toe, heel, shin and midfoot zones have aluminum or TPU protectors. Boots are sealed with zippers, velcro and buckles. MotoGP regulations require the suit to overlap by 70 millimeters. So in many examples, as you saw in MotoGP, the riders touch the ground first with their boots, of course, with their feet. However, because of this amazing tech, they can walk away without any injury. But the price tag for these boots are between 400 euros to even 800 euros. So it's very expensive. However, I think it would be more costly to lose your leg. So it's definitely worth to have ones. So which piece of MotoGP gear do you think the most underrated? I think all of them is very necessary to ride safe and to avoid any fatal injuries or any injuries at all. However, please drop your comments below which MotoGP gear was the most underrated or what the most underrated in your opinion. We're gonna read them and of course answer all of these. And if you like these kind of videos, then please subscribe and hit the like button to don't miss the next video in our adventure.
Now we're gonna talk about the deep dive into the boots. It doesn't see double. This is one boot just in two pieces. So outer layer is just basically and try to make it as much air as possible, and really these protectors just protect your fingers and everything. And the sole itself, I think I broke 10 or 12 already, so it's really lucky that I can change the sole and not to buy a whole new boot, because when you put your leg out in the corners, it's just touching the ground, and with the heat generated, it's just melt away. So we changed these really regularly. So I think one race weekend is one sole basically. But I'm really lucky because these boots are really safe but also very comfortable. So I can spend the whole day on a training day just being in these boots. Whereas in my other ones which I used before, I took it off after every session because it was much less comfortable. And of course, again, the ergonomics are really important. That the sole is quite thin, so you can feel the bike quite nice, and it's like wearing a sneaker on yours, which is just quite protective. And then the inner boot, which is actually much nicer and much more crazy, is that this, of course, it moves backwards and forwards, but it doesn't move to side much because it has the ankle support over here, which protects your ankle not to break it. And of course, you just put your leg into it, you tie it, and then you just put it on the outer boot itself.
If this video blew your mind, share it with a friend who likes MotoGP, who likes motorcycle racing, and also watch our earlier videos on, for example, what's the difference between MotoGP and Formula 1 tracks, because I think you may like that video as well. So click here to enjoy and see what we deep dive into this amazing video as well.
So gloves made the smallest piece in the parts, but this is, I think, one of the most important, or even the most important, not only for safety but also for feel, because of course we feel through our hands, our legs, and also our little asses, but mainly our hands. And we also push the switches on the bike like mainly every lap, or you adjust the brake lever, or you pull the rear brake and everything. So you have to have a glove which you can really feel everything. And I took a crash one from home so I can show you how safe it is. And I think I crashed many times in this. I crashed in Le Mans with this, and still my hands are here and it's all working. As you can see, it's a really common thing to do now that the small finger is connected to the other finger, so it can't rip off your finger if you crash. We have this carbon and Kevlar here, so it protects our upper arm and also our lower arm here. And then of course, this is the wrist protection. I think only one wrist injury in 2022, but other than that, I've always been really lucky, I think. And ultimately, it's really important to fit you. And in the inside, we have kangaroo with some Kevlar also, so we can have a good feel on the bike. And ultimately, I think for me, the glove is the most important thing that I decide to use, because I'm really keen on feeling stretchy and not closed in. And yeah, so these gloves really helped me through my years. And as you can see, it has to be a museum piece now because it's not safe to use anymore. But I really like these gloves.
I hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay safe, ride safe, and stay fast as Soma always does. See you in the next one. Ciao.